swimming again?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in the hot water?
Dad.
All right, well, good morning, folks. There are just some places on earth that are unbelievably special, unbelievably beautiful. This is one of them. Abigail and I got a good soak in last night, and then I actually got back in around midnight for about an hour, sat there watching interesting things in the sky, as Nevada is famous for. Sarah and Abigail are in now, just making some coffee, and then I'll be joining them shortly. But there's rougher ways to make a living. We might have to add more hot springs to the mix.
Down?
Ready to move on?
Yes.
After our morning soak with coffee, it was time to hit the trail. But there was one small problem. Now, if you've been watching our adventures for a while, then you know that we have a bad case of the travel bug. So it's very rare for us to spend more than one night in the same spot. But as we headed for the trail, we found another beautiful hot spring tub that beckoned us to stick around. So, along with our good friend Keith, who had arrived the night before, we decided to halt travel for the day with less than 200 yards on the odometer.
That's hot, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, might be too hot for Abby.
Oh my gosh.
112.
119. That's too hot for us.
Yeah.
That's as hot as it gets at Death Valley. So I guess you can slide that pipe over
Yeah.
and let this cool, right?
There you go. Yeah.
That'll be much better. In about an hour or two. This one was a bit too toasty, since someone left the source running at full steam into the pool, taking it to dangerous levels that can burn the skin in just a few minutes. So we busied ourselves with cleaning up the area while we waited on things to cool off. Needless to say, this is why a thermometer is a must-have for hot spring hopping. After a couple hours, we were finally in business and hopped in for another long soak under the Nevada sky as we watched the sun set over the snow-covered mountains. How's it feel?
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes I wake up with the sadness, other days it feels like madness. What would I do without you? When colors turn to shades of gray with the weight of the world at the end of the day, what would I do without you? A decade goes by without a warning, and there's still a kindness in your eye. Amidst the questions and the worry, a peace of mind always takes me by surprise.
Like the splashing his daddy did.
I feel like I'm walking with eyes as blind as a man without a lantern in a coal mine. What would I do without you? My imagination gets the best of me, and I'm trying to hide, lost at sea. What would I do without you?
Honestly, it was hard not to hit the trail today, since we do love to cover ground and find new places. But this year, we're doing our best to focus more on smiles and not just miles. With a 2-year-old in the mix, we've had to dial back our time in the rig and make sure the explorations are enjoyable for everyone. While overlanders generally agree that the journey is the destination, what good is it if you don't take the time to soak it all in? No pun intended. Hey, fast little dinner. Girls are staying warm, catching up on some shows, drying out. Ace You'll have to keep me company by the campfire, okay? You've already had food. You don't need mine. Good morning. Hi. Okay. You say good morning? Wakey, Mama. Wakey. Well, good morning, folks. Just a spectacular evening. Just sitting under the stars, hanging out. Wonderful, wonderful time. Now, we're going to take a little bit of a break and head to an Airbnb so we can do some laundry, catch up on some business, get a little editing done, and then we got another week of this ahead of us. So it should be fun. Right now, coffee time. Several days?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna probably get home, I don't know, either Saturday or Sunday. Okay. So, yeah.
Good to see you.
Bye, Abby.
The next morning, we said goodbye to our friend Keith and his Labradoodle Zoe as they continued their journey home to Phoenix after exploring Northern California the previous week. This wasn't the first time our paths have randomly crossed out here in the wilderness, and I'm sure it won't be the last either. It's always a welcome treat to share a campfire or hot spring with our friends. You ready to go bye-bye?
Uh-huh.
Where you want to go?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So one of my favorite parts about going to a truck bed is when you're mid-trip like this and it's just chaos, especially with all the extra swimming gear and stuff we've been using in the hot springs, is you can just chuck it back there. There's loads of space. Got swimsuits drying out, everything. So let's head to the Airbnb and get reset. Good job. You got that? Okay. If you have kids, then you know how important naps are for keeping the peace. So, to ensure a good snooze for Abby, we slowed our pace and cruised the streets of Goldfield, Nevada, while Sarah gave us a road school history class on this iconic mining town.
Goldfield was founded in 1902 after the discovery of gold in the area, and it quickly became the largest and richest mining town in Nevada. In the whole of Nevada.
Wow.
At its peak around 1906, Goldfield had a population of over 20,000 people and produced more than 86 million in gold in the early 1900s dollars, that is. It was known for its grand buildings, saloons, and even had a luxury hotel, the Goldfield Hotel, which still stands today. However, by the late 1910s, the gold began to run out already after just 10 years. And a series of fires, including a major one in 1923, destroyed much of the town. As mining declined, so did the population, leaving behind a near ghost town feel. I mean, to put in so much effort for a luxury hotel. This luxury hotel opened in 1908. And then, the town started declining in 1910.
So in 2 years.
And was considered state-of-the-art for its time, complete with telephones, electric lights, and an elevator. It cost over $400,000 to build, which was a fortune back then. The legendary Wyatt Earp lived in Goldfield for a short time in 1904, trying to open a saloon. So in 1906, Goldfield hosted a famous boxing match between Joe Gans and Battling Nelson. It was one of the longest and most brutal matches in boxing history, lasting 42 rounds. Goldfield also became the county seat of Esmeralda County, a title it still holds.
So we were just talking about how just extensive this town is and how many people used to live here, and now it's just trash, just remnants.
The Goldfield Hotel, the ghost of Elizabeth. Perhaps the most famous ghost in Goldfield is Elizabeth, a young woman allegedly seduced by the hotel's original owner, George Wingfield. Legend says she became pregnant, and when he feared scandal, he locked her in room 109. She either died in childbirth or was murdered. Accounts vary. Her spirit is said to remain there. Visitors report cries for help. The scent of perfume, lights turning on and off, objects being thrown across the room. Guests and ghost hunters have said the elevator in Goldfield Hotel moves up and down even though there's no power or staff operating it. She's awake.
She's up.
Some says it's George Wingfield still roaming the halls.
Wow.
I love ghost stories.
After a long drive south, we arrived at an Airbnb in the historic mining town of Goldfield. Needless to say, rentals are few and far between in these less populated areas, so we were fortunate to find this little gem complete with a washer, dryer, and hot showers for our slightly sneaky crew. Got the laundry going hardcore over here. Great big stack of stuff to do. I hope we can get it done in time. And with my hard drives getting full of footage, this was also a good time to get some editing finalized without bouncing around in the passenger seat or hunkering inside of the tent for hours on end. We've come a long way over the years in our storytelling process, and switching from a power-hungry Windows gaming laptop to a MacBook Pro and iPad has made things so much easier and efficient. All right, well, good morning, folks. What? Just because I came from a new angle? I'm still the same guy. Good protective dog, I like that. All right, let's get buckled in, go get some breakfast, continue this adventure with fresh laundry and clean hair, smelling a lot better. Pretty cool spot for being in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I liked it. I was able to do laundry and clean up, so that's a win.
After 2 long days of editing and almost constant loads of laundry, we were caught up, freshened up, and ready for another round of Nevada explorations, starting with this car forest not a stone's throw from our rental. This is the International Car Forest of the Last Church, a quirky art installation featuring over 40 vehicles, most with their noses buried in the dirt or stacked on top of others. It's places like this that make the desert just a bit more interesting, though this art might leave you scratching your head just a bit, or perhaps mourning the burial of some of these classics. I guess I prefer my art on 4 wheels and fully functional, but as I say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now, it was time to head to Tonopah, Nevada for a quick breakfast at the Strawberry Hill Diner, where we scarfed down eggs, bacon, sausage, biscuits smothered in gravy, and a stack of strawberry pancakes for Caroline. Then, we headed for the store for the last item on our checklist, enough groceries for another long week on the trail. We've branched out and are trying some IceCo fridges in our setup this year. While the Snowmasters we've run in the past have been rock solid, even to this day, they're a bit more expensive. So we're giving these a run for their money so we can have a wider range of experiences to share with you. So far, aside from a couple small design quirks, they've been performing well for our use. The one in the trailer we have set up as a fridge, and the one in the truck is set up as a freezer to extend the life of our perishable foods and allow us to bring ice cream along for a treat. It's also a nice addition to be able to freeze ice cubes on the trail as well. Deceptive amount of storage up there.
So much. I was telling Kevin I need a little step stool. Because I will fill it. If you give me the space, I will fill it.
After packing away what looks like enough food for a small army into the trailer's ample cabinet space, we were ready to top off on fuel and head into the wild again. All right. Well, our little tour of Tonopah is almost over. Got to grab a little more caffeine because that coffee wasn't really hitting the spot this morning. But our little buddy, he's sniffing. He got a special treat here. Oh man, what is that? Oh, it's stuck on his lip. He's like, I shouldn't be doing this.
He's being all shy about it.
I know. As we headed south, we made a last-minute decision to swing into a ghost town that popped up on the map. And wow, am I ever glad we did. Welcome to Gold Point, Nevada. As we meandered through the dusty, deserted streets along rows of weathered shacks with their namesakes faded almost beyond legibility, we wondered to ourselves just what kind of residents would want to live here full time. No sooner than we thought it, we rounded a corner and were greeted by a friendly hello and smiles from a husband and wife who were busy repairing one of the buildings. In our travels, we've learned there are two types of people who live in ghost towns: those who are there to be left alone, and those who are there to share in the experience and keep the stories alive. Fred and his wife were thankfully of the latter mindset, and were soon showing us inside to see the buildings they were in the process of preserving.
We cleared out a few things that were in there and put all our junk in there, and the rest of it is just how we bought it.
Wow.
Our thing is we'll probably keep this stuff pretty close to what it is.
Yeah.
Because the gal used to do exactly this, give tours to people.
Right,
Cool.
right.
So we're doing the same.
It's so cool that you guys do that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And this isn't even the cool part. The coolest part's down at this end.
All right.
The last room is the mercantile. It's like a shop.
Yeah.
And then we believe this was their kitchen, dining room.
Yeah.
This was their sitting room, and then the bedroom.
And these are just picked up from around here, I guess, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Room after room, shelves upon shelves of relics from the old mining days sat coated in dust and organized by size, color, and type. Fred is retired now, but purchased this and several other buildings in Gold Point to help preserve the past while being surrounded by its rich history. In addition to this passion, he is also a county commissioner for Esmeralda County and works to better his community in more ways than one.
So these water pipes, and it went up to that water tank up on the hill.
Crazy. So that's just wood and it's wire wrapped, huh?
And the couplers are just the same thing, but they're just bigger.
What?
Yeah, they have the wires.
What a way to make a water pipe.
Yeah, right?
After our little tour, Fred pointed us to the saloon and said that we should check in with Walt, another resident and caretaker who would have the saloon open to visitors. And so we marched our little family to the Horn Silver Saloon to meet our next tour guide. Walt welcomed us in and encouraged us to peruse the extensive collection of antiques in the saloon and suggested we camp out back for the night since he would be opening up the bar tonight for ourselves and some others that were on their annual visit from Oregon. Well, how could we say no to that opportunity? How often does one get to belly up to a bar in a ghost town and actually get a drink out of the experience?
This is so cool.
So wild. And so we parked our trailer in the camping area out back, disconnected, and headed off into the nearby hills to see what other surprises were waiting for us while we waited for evening to arrive. Gold Point has been through a few name changes over the years. It originally started as Lime Point when a small silver deposit was discovered in the 1860s and a tent city sprang up about a half mile away with about 50 miners doing their best to scratch out some fortune. Then, in 1908, it became known as Horn Silver when a richer silver strike was discovered that gave the town its real boom, with nearly 1,000 people flocking to the area. About 225 buildings popped up along its streets alongside canvas tents for the miners, but by 1909, legal disputes and processing expenses brought everything crashing down. Almost overnight, the bustling town became quiet as people left for richer opportunities elsewhere. But its mining story wasn't over. In 1927, gold was discovered in the area and quickly became the predominant resource, prompting its final name change to Gold Point to better reflect its primary pursuit and hopefully draw in new miners and shop owners. Then, in 1942, when the United States entered the Second World War, all unnecessary mining activity was basically outlawed, as manpower was needed for the war efforts instead. This sealed the fate of this once prosperous town. Following the war and after decades of decline, Gold Point was nearly lost to time. But in the late 1970s, something changed. Herb Robbins, a man with a love for the Old West, discovered the ghost town and saw its potential. He began buying up old mining claims and cabins, many for little more than back taxes. Alongside his friend, Walt Kremen, Herb started the slow process of restoring Gold Point, one building at a time. Today, Gold Point stands as one of Nevada's best preserved ghost towns, not because of big funding or tourist gimmicks, but because 2 people believed it was worth saving. Well, this was unexpected.
Yeah, super cool.
So awesome.
I spy with my little eye a little trailer.
We've been to a lot of ghost towns, quote unquote. But this one takes the cake. This is so cool. So many artifacts still out here. All the equipment, most of the equipment still sitting here. Very cool look back in time. We're gonna do something we don't usually do. We're gonna actually pay to camp right in town, because apparently there's enough of us in town for the saloon to be opened. Well, you gotta stick around for that, right? You just had a bath. Don't get dirty. Oh gosh. After exploring the outskirts of town, we returned to camp behind the saloon for an easy dinner as we waited for the highlight of our visit to begin. What delectable goodness are you cooking up for us tonight?
Grass-fed all beef hot dogs.
Ooh, they got fancy cuts on them.
I did do fancy cuts.
Flavor enhancers. And chili. Oh my goodness.
No bean. Oh.
Nothing beats an old-fashioned chili dog. With the last bit of colors fading from the setting sun, we strolled down to the saloon to find Fred, Walt, and a few visitors gathered around the bar, sharing stories and sipping cold beverages.
Hello there.
Hey. Walt saw Abigail talking to an antique hobby horse and without hesitation pulled it from its perch and let her trot around with it for its first ride in what had to have been over half a century as Sarah and Caroline shot pool together in the back. As I sat here listening to Walt and Fred talk about the town, I was overwhelmed with how special it was to be a small part of the ongoing history of Gold Point. This is a night that will forever live in our memories. I'd like to say thank you to Fred and Walt for sharing this truly incredible town with our family. We can't wait to return one day and see just how far things have come. Good shot!
The first one that went in was hers.
Oh, nice.
Now that one's hers. Yeah, Karen.
Wow, all right. Lifestyle Overland is supported by viewers like you. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to help us create more like it, then head to lso.link/support or look us up on Patreon. In appreciation, you'll get direct message access to us, ad-free videos, GPS data, and so much more. Patrons, thank you for your support. We simply would not be here if it wasn't for you keeping the adventure alive. Until next time, stay curious and remember to leave it better than you found it.